So you've heard me talk before, right, about George Washington in prayer, not only here, I mean, we see him kneeling here, but the stained glass window at the chapel that's right down the road, he's kneeling in prayer. In Washington, D.C. at the Capitol, in the private prayer room of the congressman, it's Washington kneeling in prayer. We've seen paintings of him. And don't forget, it's not just that somebody decided to do a monument later. You read the guys that spent time with him. Henry Knox served with him throughout the Revolutionary War. He talks about walking in on General Washington in his tent, kneeling in prayer. Secretary Thompson in Congress talks about witnessing Washington kneeling in prayer. And some people say he never did this. Some people actually claim he wasn't even a Christian or a person of faith. His own adopted daughter, Nellie Custis Washington, said that to question George Washington's Christianity would be like questioning his patriotism. So think about that. Nobody's going to question George Washington's patriotism, right? I mean, this is the patriot of all patriots. You're not going to question his patriotism. She said you also shouldn't question his Christianity, that it was extremely strong. And remember how we started all this? How we went to Carpenter's Hall and we saw where the First Continental Congress was? So long before he was encamped here at Valley Forge, he was actually on his knees with those other founders praying about what was to come, because they knew what was going to happen if they ended up in war with Great Britain. So then fast forward from that time, really 3 years and a couple of months, to where he's here at Valley Forge. And the story behind him praying, the reason this is here and the reason you see the paintings of him at Valley Forge praying, is because while he was out there praying, a guy that lived here, in fact, one of his houses was actually used by the generals to live in, actually stumbled upon Washington praying. And he said that when he saw Washington praying, he had been a Tory, which means he was for Great Britain. He wasn't for America. So remember, a lot of Americans were with Great Britain. So you had a large number of Americans. In fact, about 100,000 fled at the end of the war whenever Great Britain lost. So there was a lot of people that were for the Brits. Well, one of the guys that was for the British saw him praying, and he said he changed from being a Tory to a Whig, went home and told his wife, said, we're supporting the wrong cause, because when somebody prays like that general's praying, God's going to answer their prayers, and he's going to win. And so he literally switched his allegiance because of the way he saw George Washington praying.